Honorable Discharge is brought to you by Dysfunctional Veterans Radio. Find Dysfunctional Veterans Radio on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Stream more slutty dysfunctional veteran content by heading down to www.patreon.com/DV Radio. That's www.patreon.com/DV Radio. Subscribe and get access to all the media and entertainment made for veterans by veterans. You can also download DV podcasts from Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. Help the DV mission by donating to the DV Farm at www.dvfarm.org. That's www.dvfarm.org. If you want to donate to DV Farm as your charity of choice, you can do that through www.smile.amazon.com. Select the DV Farm as your charity of choice, and a portion of your sale will directly benefit our fellow veterans that need a hand.
I mean, you timed that open so perfectly.
Yeah.
Are you already recording? Am I talking over your theme song?
Yeah, totally.
Oh. Sorry, but you just... Oh, nice.
Yeah. There it is. We're kicking it off early on Honorable Discharge, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Ron Ripley. I'm here in Studio 395, beautiful, slutty San Diego, California. It's going to be a great goddamn episode. I am joined by two very handsome gentlemen. On my left is Damien Pruitt, fellow comedian at the La Jolla Comedy Store, popcorn fucking master, hilarious gentleman. And on my right is Adam Ray. You might know him. He's in Ghostbusters.
Barely.
Well, barely, but hey, it was a great role. We're going to talk about it. He's got a great podcast called About Last Night with Brad Williams.
Yeah.
He's performing this weekend at the La Jolla Comedy Store.
Yeah, baby.
No one's going to be here this in time to buy tickets, but it's whatever.
Yeah, next time we'll work on the timing of this podcast and when it drops and have it coincide with some potential ticket sales. But also, look, the shows were great this weekend. Let's talk about it in past tense.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Right, because when does this come out?
This will probably be in about a month or so. I don't know. They might bump it up.
So look
earlier.
for this in 2020. Maybe I'll be back. Maybe release it when I come back to La Jolla.
Well, it'll be the next presidential. It'll be an election year by that time.
Wow, let's get political early on this.
No,
thing.
Absolutely not.
Who you guys voting for?
Palestine. Well, no, I can't say such things. We're brought to you by Dysfunctional Veterans Radio. They're our syndication.
Nice.
They're a great veterans organization. They're based out of New Hampshire. Check them out on dvradio.net. You can find I don't know, I'm on Instagram. Adam, you're all over the goddamn internet.
Adam Ray Comedy, yeah.
Adam Ray Comedy.
I love that you guys are linked in with the veterans. My dad works at the VA clinic in Salem. He's a big dog to the vets.
Oh.
Yeah. So just if you were looking for some extra
some
linkage,
like chlamydia pills, or
yeah,
he's got
all
handing
those.
out all the herpes meds.
Every herpes med you could need: the creams, the oils, CBD herpes meds.
Wow.
Say that 10 times fast, you get a free bottle.
So I just think it's cool. Comic-Con is coming up in San Diego, and I nerded out. I'm like, oh my god, Adam Ray. He's also on Mad TV. If you don't know that, you've been in the game for a long time.
Been in the game for a minute, man. Done some cool shit. Had a lot of really cool opportunities, and then that's the true nature of how flimsy the business can be, and the ups and downs. I mean, it's like, when I did the roast of Big Papi, which is another weird thing I just got to do from this business. David Ortiz, the Red Sox, Hall of Fame slugger. Josh Wolf asked me to do it in Boston at the House of Blues, and I'm not a roast comic, even though I can hold my own with crowd work and needing to take control of a situation.
Well, and you love sports too, so I'm sure you've got.
It was also just the
fun.
opportunity. It was to go there and do that. And I think anytime you get a chance to do something that's out of your comfort zone, you got to find a way to work through it and do it, especially when it sounds like it's going to be that fun. So I go, all right, well, I'm not a roast comic. I go, but maybe I can do it as a character, because that's something that's in my repertoire. So I was like, oh, that'd be fun if I dress up as a young Yankees fan that's on the dais with Dustin Pedroia and Bill Burr and Anthony Mackie and Sarah Tiana and Josh Wolf and Rob Gronkowski. And so I was like, I'll be a Yankees fan up there, just ripping into Ortiz. But then I was like, man, if I'm a young, younger New York fan, I'm gonna come off just as like an asshole and like a guy that nobody really likes, and it's not even gonna be funny because I'll definitely like commit so much that people will just like think that this guy, like, you know, I'm not super well known, so like especially in that group, so I was like, oh, maybe I should dress up as really go for it. So I flew out the gal that did makeup on Mad TV on the season I did on the CW reboot, and CW fucked it up. Otherwise, we'd still be on the air. They know that, but they won't admit it. But she also did SNL. We all know that.
We all know.
She also did makeup on SNL from like 89 to 95. And so I go, can you make me look like unrecognizable and like a 75-year-old man? And she's like, fuck yeah. And we go out there the night before, working on all our roast jokes at the Laugh Boston Comedy Club, and Burr's like, so what are you gonna do? You're like dressing up like Babe Ruth or some shit? What are you fucking doing? And I was like, Bill, like, just, you know, trust me, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. And so you know, we go down to do a sound check, and then she gets me, you know, it takes about 4.5 hours to get me fully garbed up. And in LA we had fitted like some jowls and some face stuff and a nose, and there's pictures and video on my Instagram if you can sift through, or just type in Adam Ray Big Poppy Roast. But dude, I go down to the lobby, and I mean, no joke, dude, wig, glasses, face, like I look unrecognizable, like some Johnny Knoxville jackass old man shit. And I get down the lobby and I see Burr, and I walk by him, and I'm like, oh man, all right, I'm gonna casually walk by him, see if he just sees me, and he just goes, kind of nods, like, because I just stared at him. He goes, hey, and I go, hey, I go, Bill Burr, and he goes, yeah. I go, oh my God, big fucking fan. I go, you are just like, you're the guy right now. He's like, I appreciate it, buddy, appreciate it. I shake his head. I go, oh man, the cartoon F is for family. Fuck is what you mean, right? You just didn't want to say it because it's a cartoon. He's like, no, we curse all the time. It's fucking what it is. I go, yeah. I go, I got a few notes for you. And he goes, what? I go, yeah, I got some notes about the cartoon. I used to work in animation. Well, I didn't work. I used to live across from an animation house, and I used to go over there and give them notes, and they weren't too receptive. But I feel like you're a nice guy. I go, so dude, that first season. And he goes, buddy, fuck off. I don't want your fucking notes. And I go, fuck you. You're a real prick. You know that? And then he just goes, hey, fuck off, dude. And then I get in his face, and I go, Bill, it's Adam. And he goes, what? I go, it's Adam. Adam Ray. I go, this is my getup. And then he just paused, and dude, the white that like drooped over his face, and he kind of did a step back, and then his eyes got big, and he goes, holy shit, dude, this is fucking incredible. And then he couldn't take his eyes off me the rest of the roast. He was just so enamored by the transformation. And you know, Gronk, all these guys thought I ripped into Dustin Pedroia so hard, the Red Sox second baseman, and like 80% of my jokes were to him, and he leans over to Josh Wolf at one point, and he's like, dude, who the fuck is this old man? Why is this guy?
Is he like the producer's
yeah,
pop?
Exactly. What does he do? Was he you know, Ortiz's limo driver back in the day? And he's like, no man, he's a 35-year-old comic. He's like, shut the fuck up, dude. And, so things like that.
It's got to be very validating.
That you there was a point to that whole story. What was the first thing you asked me? There was something I brought up with that about.
Are you voting for Palestine or something like? Yeah, I don't know.
That's
what it was. Way back there.
No, you said something about. So then Anthony Mackie, boy, this was the whole point. Dude, this is how my brain works. Anthony Mackie, you know, who Avengers, been at everything, right? Great actor. One of his jokes to me was making fun of how, you know, Mad TV, Separation Anxiety, and this show called Return of the Mac I did with Joey McIntyre on the Pop Network, all were like one season, and all in like a year, where it was like, man, if all those shows, and again, this is to my point, but just about like the highs and lows and the nothing is guaranteed aspect of this, where it's like, you know, Separation Anxiety was on just on the first season. TBS loved it. I was like, dude, I think this show could go for like 5 years, which would be dope. Yeah. And then get Mad TV, and so it's like game show, sketch show, and then I'm playing, you know, Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block's manager on this show. So I'm acting, sketch, and game show. I'm like, dude, I got all three worlds that I feel like I've honed my skills in going at the same time. Like all these shows people are pumped on, like networks, and like, you know, hopefully could get maybe 4 or 5 out of each show and like really build up, and then that'll translate into stand up, and I can, you know, tour and raise my price and all that, and just and have a cool little you know, a chapter of time, and then all 3 don't go again, and you're just like, whoa. And Anthony Mackie made that joke in the roast about how he's like, don't fucking hire Adam Ray because everything he touches fucking gets canceled or whatever. And like, you know, there's obviously.
Oh yeah,
like,
by the way, yeah, Mad Magazine just shut down. So you're fucking
I
really.
Know, dude, I'm really. I got the Midas touch.
Destroyed Mad.
Yeah. Yeah, I took it down. But again, it's like, you know, that's why like nothing is like safe, and you can't, like, you know, spend your cash till you till you make it, and also bet on when you get something, you're like, all right, here we go. Like now this will turn things around. It's like that's why every opportunity is so precious. And when you get to, even when I see people that are on shows that they're like, fucking this show's fucking sucks. I want to get out of it so I can do something else. I'm like, yeah, man, but you're also on a show. Like, you know, this is going to translate into other opportunities. You just gotta like, you know, make the best of it. But.
Well, I think I really enjoy like watching your career. Like I saw you last year when you came to the store, and I was like, I don't really know who this guy is. And then I. Is
that Jay Leno? Who are you doing?
I don't know. That's just like,
I mean, I'm watching this guy. I didn't see him.
Well, and that's what I was getting to. It's like I grew up watching sketch comedy. I've always loved sketch comedy, and you know, between Mad TV and Living Color and Saturday Night Live, like I've really always enjoyed that platform. And I feel like your career, like you have a lot of that. Like you've done sketch comedy, you have characters, you do voice acting, you do stand up, you make it on the big screen. So, but you can walk through an airport without some guy going, "Hey, I want to give you notes." Fucking you know what I mean? Like, and it's
1,000%. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like I'm at a point where, you know, people back home think, you know, doing some special stuff, and
your buddy Brian, Hollywood.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. That kid still works at Albertsons, man. That's why that joke is so
it's very
fun
real.
to tell. It is, but yeah, I mean, it's all relative to like having any sort of success, and I. You know, yeah, like people back home think I'm famous, but then it's like there's no like, part of that word that makes it in my.
I've never raped anybody.
Yeah,
like I'm not that.
I haven't made it yet. There's no TMZ print up yet.
Right, like no one. I'm off everybody's radar.
But yeah, I mean, there's, and you do, you know, like when I tour with Adam Devine on any sort of big theater tour when we went to Australia, did like troupe shows. It's like cool because
how fun is that?
Well, it's just like we're such good buds that like the travel, all of it's fun, and the shows are great, and his fans are great. It's all great, and he like me likes to go out and not only just party, but just get out and go to a weird dive bar,
right?
Even in Okinawa on the base, and go down some rabbit holes or weird things and meet some of the locals and go to some sketchy karaoke bars or whatever. Just get out and explore. But also like he's got this collection of fans from Modern Family, Pitch Perfect, and Workaholics, and now a bunch of other shit, to where it's like he truly can walk through an airport, and he's got like a face too.
He does have
that looks just looks
like a face you just want to punch.
Yeah,
super, and you're like, well, you fucking look like every dickhole I've ever met.
A little bit.
But you're funny. You're a funny guy.
Yeah, but he is very approachable, and he stops for everybody. But that type of, and so sometimes I'm like. And he's always good about it because he recognizes that these are the people that are keeping him,
keeping the lights on.
Yeah. And
they keep the Tesla running.
Yeah, boy, those cars! I just sat in one of those for the first time.
Are they slutty?
What a spaceship, dude!
I had a Tesla Lyft bring me over here the other day.
Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, nice, dude. By the way, welcome to the podcast, Damien.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
He just woke up.
Yeah,
he's got a cot in the back.
He's like, dude, I'm just gonna sit here until they talk Tesla, and then I'm chiming in.
In and out.
Is that a Tesla joke? Yeah. Oh shit, I got this.
Yeah. Wait, it was
sitting in about 5 minutes.
Wait, Tesla Uber, is that
Yeah, I was like, how many rides are you taking a day to pay for this thing?
Yeah, like do they have an answer?
No.
Well, like what do you do if you're like, great, I'd love to take you to LA, but I need a charge right now.
Yeah.
That's gonna I don't know. Like how long does a charge last on a Tesla?
Probably an hour or two at least.
I've never seen anyone post about it. No.
They're not, I mean, it doesn't seem like it seems like a lot of fun. The doors open very casually.
Was it the slutty, like the SUV where it's like the fucking DeLorean doors?
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are crazy.
My godfather came out here from New York City, and we were walking through the mall, and he's like, let's go look at a Tesla. I'm like, all right, let's fucking look at a Tesla.
Yeah.
And we got it, and you got the big fucking iPad the display in there, and like you can remove the seat. It looks like a really spacious ride in the back. Like that's
what is a godfather again? Is that like who is?
So it's basically in my case, it's some guy that my mom was like, oh, you're never gonna get married. Like, why don't you take responsibility for these children?
Whoa, yeah.
But no, they were like super good friends.
Extended family member. It's like that guy that like when you're young and your dad's like, "This is Uncle John," and you're like, "Is he
Right.
blood related?" He's like, "No, but he's gonna shower here every other weekend."
Non-blood relative.
It's always a close friend of the parent.
Right, non-blood relative accepting the role of like uncle or.
And if something happens to the folks,
Right.
they would
you
take
take
on
care of the
responsibilities.
Yeah, I remember having this conversation. It's like, you met my mom, and you're gonna be my godfather. Like, what was that like? And she was like, well, like it's will you take him to church and make sure his guidance is good if anything ever happened to me and my husband? And he was like, absolutely not. No, we're not going to church. Like, it's not what I do. But I love telling people, like, I have a godfather that lives in Manhattan. And like, and you always get that Marlon Brando, like, we're gonna get him a Tesla. He can't refuse.
Yeah. Well, I always think of Godfather's Pizza, and so when I first start hearing just the label of Godfather, I was
really,
dude, his Godfather is blah blah blah, and I was like, dude, he owns Godfather's Pizza. Which, as a kid, if you know anyone that owns a pizza chain, like there was a kid who was a pathological liar in my elementary school, and he told everybody his dad invented Little Caesars. And as a kid, you have no reason to not believe that, because A, you didn't have the internet. B, you're just like not fact checking as a kid. You just like you hear something and you're like, that's what it is. Right?
Like,
that's reality.
I'm from Vermont, and Damien, you're from Sacramento, and you're from Portland, right?
Seattle.
Portland, yeah.
Seattle, dude, fuck Portland, except for the Blazers.
I see your Steelers hat.
So, dude, Mariners, how dare you?
No, but I don't know. Godfather, is that like a chain on the West Coast or something like that?
It must be. Yeah, I mean, it's
Sacramento before.
Okay.
You have
so, and they have it like in different states. Like it's that big.
It must be like for like what like Hardee's is only like in the Midwest.
Ooh,
maybe
the in and out of pizza.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Hardee's had a good
Hardee's
little.
Is like Carl's Jr. though.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like the same thing, but
Nice. Yeah, dude.
What
if we talked about this for the next 45 minutes?
We could talk about any, like that's the beauty of Honorable Discharge. It's just
is there a theme, or do you kind of
it's
keep it loose?
I'm a veteran, and I usually try to keep it comedy. I think the only thing we really don't touch is like religion and politics.
I like that.
I don't want to piss anybody off.
Yeah.
I'm not a sports guy. I mean, not like I played in like the NBA All-Star, Celebrity All-Star game or anything.
Yeah.
But and it was funny. Like I don't even like you. Whatever, like it must have been a great life goal, and you've thrown out some fucking pitches, first pitches at some games. But I mean, Brad Williams definitely stole the show at the All-Star game.
Oh, he had to.
He was in the highlight. He's on the YouTube highlights. It's like number one. It's like Brad just being the center.
Well, look, Dwarf does anything athletic, you double click on it.
But
he's
also
not
being thrown. Absolutely. Let's see
we
where
thought
this
about
goes.
it. Here's what was so crazy about that is Brad and I had a whole game plan going into it, where I bought this thing called a piggyback, which is a for fathers to wear their kids for camping on their shoulders. Right, you strap it in. There's like a metal rod on the back for them to stand on, and you wear them like a backpack. And Sue Bird was our coach, the Seattle Storm WNBA legend, and I hit her up on Twitter, and I'm like, hey, pumped for the game, blah, blah, blah. Brad and I are thinking about wearing this. I'm going to rock it. I was thinking I'd call a timeout, put Brad on my shoulders, come out for a couple defensive stands, and have him, just add a little fun to it.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's fucking hilarious. Like, yes, for sure, do that. Can't wait to see it. Well, the game's going to be fun, whatever.
Sounds like a butt story.
Yeah. And then, so then I, for whatever reason, was like, maybe I should take a little video and send it, because I had put together these kind of promo videos for Brad and I just about us being in the game. And the NBA got real fired up about them. They're like, man, we'll tweet them out, put them on our Instagram and all that. And so they were being real cool working with us. I was like, I should include them in on this and show them the piggyback that I purchased and what we're going to do. And Sue Bird after was like, man, we should have asked for forgiveness, not permission, because I sent him the video. I also sent him a video of the first time I tried it on. So I'm walking very slow, looking like I'm going to fall. And like, there's no way that Brad is staying on there. And so I'm like, hey, we're thinking about doing this in the game. And they're like, definitely not.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, why not? They're like, what if you drop him? I'm like, it'll be hilarious. And they're like, well, we don't have dwarf insurance. I'm like, that's really funny. Also, you should get it. You're the NBA. I feel like
the NBA should absolutely
have all the
insurance.
insurances. And so I brought it to the practice still and tried to like slip it in. And the guy who was kind of our liaison was like, dude, it's not happening. And then we got out there and the game speed was so much quicker than I anticipated. And the pace where I was like, I don't think there was a real opportunity. We tried to get one little trick play in there where he went through my legs and then he stole the tip off. But, he also didn't get in the game a lot because once the game got going, it was like, oh yeah, like
it's a
can't
game.
really keep up
Right.
the way you you know,
the
just
way you want.
Yeah, but he had some cool moments. If he had hit that layup when he stole the opening tip, the place would have gone fucking
Wham! Well, it's the idea of you throwing him and the fact that Comic-Con will be in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're 11 days away. You should fucking ham it up. And I don't know if you're a fan of Marvel, but
I played Wolverine at Universal Studios Hollywood. I think I'm a pretty good
all right.
fan.
So you're knowledgeable. Have have Brad be Wolverine. And then you can be the Hulk, and then you can throw him like it's like an old school.
Is that what they?
Like yeah, like the Hulk and.
So they're not buddies, huh?
They're not buddies, but like in video games, you know, like there's like the combo where the Hulk throws Wolverine and people at Comic-Con I feel like would eat it up.
Okay.
And there's tons of fun stories of like celebrities just going incognito at Comic-Con and like using the costumes. There was one where who's fucking Heisenberg? From Breaking Bad. Damien, you know this.
Yeah, the guy from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh,
one of the most famous men on the planet. Yeah, Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston. Yeah, famous guy.
Bryan Cranston never made it, but shout out to him. He's out there somewhere working at a Quiznos.
He's the next week's guest.
Yeah.
No, so he walked around the floor of Comic-Con in a Heisenberg mask that he had Hollywood, like a Hollywood makeup guy, make him. So it's a carbon copy of his face.
Wow.
So he's walking around the floor of Comic-Con dressed as Heisenberg, and everyone's like, that is the coolest thing ever. And he's, thank you. You know, and like everyone's like, oh my God.
No way.
And then at the Breaking Bad panel, he comes out and takes off the mask, and there's like 30,000 people, million people in the fucking room. Half of them have selfies with that guy, just thinking it's a costume. Daniel Radcliffe walked around in a fucking Kmart Spider-Man costume. So like everyone had all these selfies with fucking Harry Potter they didn't even know of. So you guys should
thinking about it, dude. I was almost going to go to Comic-Con this year for I voiced this talking horse Swiftwind on She-Ra that's on Netflix that DreamWorks did. And so She-Ra's doing a big panel and
they're huge right now.
Yeah, it's big. So and I hit them up and I was like, "Oh, can I come down too?" And they're like they're really trying to focus on the 4 main princesses and a few other side characters. I'm like, I'm the fucking talking horse sidekick.
Talking horse sidekick.
Like they said my character tests best with kids and I'm not going down. And then I really was like,
really?
You want these things to be fun? Like you don't want the one comedian on the show to be down there, and they were like, they really want to be about the main storylines in this next season. Because I'm there for comedic relief, and he peppers in. He's there all the time, but not like
he's
a
main.
Yeah. But next year, I'm on this show that's going to come out next year. It's the guys that did Robot Chicken and Seth Green's Stupid Buddy production company.
Right.
It's a claymation, like filthy medieval times Game of Thrones type show.
Okay.
With peg people, so they have no arms, no legs, and it's me, Breckenmeyer, Seth Green, Tony Hale, the mom from the Goldbergs, Adam Pally, and that kid from About a Boy. He's big now. What's his name? He's the lead.
Bryan Cranston.
No, hilarious. Sally Field. Anyway, so we'll for sure probably go next year because Seth Green, anything I feel like him in the animation world is like featured down there. I mean, they're Robot Chicken's 10th year.
I'm always on the opposite of that panel. Me and my homie Jay, we smoke weed and we get drunk. And,
nice.
And we watch the Adult Swim panels all fucking day. And I feel like for the past 2 years, Seth has been too busy. Once he's like Skyped in and everyone's like, but he's a big
yeah. Well, he had this movie that he
he's
just wrote and directed that came out, so I'm sure that was keeping him occupied. And then man, Family Guy, Robot Chicken, and this show that he's getting going.
And
it's a lot.
Oh man, and what was that? Oh damn it, Damien, help me out. What was that Seth Green film? Where the Amish and he's fixing a car. It was like a road trip, a college trip, or something like that. God damn it.
The Italian Job?
Nope.
It was back in the day, like road trip, like college road trip, like one of those movies.
Yeah, it was like this.
He wasn't in Road Trip.
No, it was road trip esque. It was like this guy was
without
going,
a paddle.
No. But he was Amish and he was like fixing up a car. These college kids are passing through the state. And they end up stopping at this Amish farm and their car breaks down. They're like, "What would you know about
Euro
this car?"
Trip?
No. Because it was like in the Amish country, and and Seth Green is this Amish person, and he's like to the smarmy college kid. He's like, "What would I know about your '67 Mustang with a drop top?" He just names off all the car stats.
Hilarious.
Probably nothing, because I'm just a stupid wagon guy.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. So
Yeah,
Seth Green
he's got a dry sensibility that's like truly unmatched.
Oh, I've loved him since Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those days.
How could you forget about those?
Speaking of cool shit, just realized the Stormtrooper hat on your
Oh, the
washing
dryer.
machine.
Yeah,
The
we're
dryer.
a Star Wars nerd household
Dang,
for
dude.
sure.
Did you buy that? Win it?
No, that's actually something that somebody was like, I was a stormtrooper. I dressed up as a stormtrooper. I was going to get rid of this. I knew you appreciate it. I'm like, fuck yeah. There's a Darth Vader helmet over there.
Dude, that is a good
somewhere.
friend to just gift you a stormtrooper helmet. I feel like that's not a cheap item.
Like I have many nerd friends. Like I have a friend who's the floor manager at Comic-Con. So his
so
swag
they're hooked
bag is unfucking.
Yeah, they're
real.
giving out a lot of like. Do you think? What do you if a true Comic-Con nerd?
Shut up, Damien.
If a true Comic-Con nerd got like, what do you think he would lose his mind? What do you think he would choose? Ready?
What?
What do you think he would choose?
Okay.
So they give him or her
Them.
they give them front row passes to all the panels, right? VIP access to everything, early admission, swag bags through the roof, and a free food and drink pass for the whole
like
weekend.
all like
Yeah.
the VIP Coachella package
or a night with your dream crush, and you guys get and it's all paid for.
Is the
expenses.
dream crush like from Comic-Con? Like, can this be like, can my wife get her dream crush as Jon Snow? Like, she just wanted to like do the panel meet and greet. Or can this be like?
But I'm talking
Bill
more
from
so
high
for
school?
like the nerdy fellas that attend these things that may or may not have had experiences with a gal, and now they get a chance to get a full evening, and everything's paid for. Do they get that, or they take the Comic-Con exclusive
You know what I think is
experience?
This is an interesting question because I feel like Comic-Con has this reputation for like, oh, it's a bunch of nerds from Ohio that never get sniz. And I feel like I've been going for 10 years.
Well, no, it's not.
It
But that's not my
gets
question.
sexier
Of
every
course,
year.
but there still are a handful of those true.
What would I would
The true, like when you think of like the guy, yeah, that guy going, who's maybe not seen a nipple before, and you want him now. You want to fucking like, does he go, wow, this is great, or do I go, man, I would love to finally meet the cast of Boy Meets World. You know what I'm saying?
right and spend all night with them and
Yeah. Is he gonna get off more with talking to Ryder Strong about the '90s, or is he gonna like
Okay, I
go?
know.
You know what? Fuck it, dude. Finally, a woman.
I know how I would answer. Damien, how would you answer?
Well,
Do you want swag and experience or intimacy with your?
But this question is what you think, because this isn't you guys, right?
Yeah,
well,
like
These are the guys
what
that
you think the audience of the average Comic-Con
I'm just
goer.
because the perception is the guy just living in his basement somewhere in the Midwest, like you said, that just flies out and
Yeah.
never been with a chick before. Like from that guy's point of view, I probably would go with meeting with hooking up with the chick.
Right.
With a
He
chick,
would-
yeah.
he
And that's
would
what I'm
want-
asking.
He'd
What
want to
would you
meet Black
choose?
Widow.
Yeah.
He'd want to spend the evening with Black Widow.
Okay. Oh, so we're also making it Comic-Con-esque. So it's not just a gal of his choice. It's probably a
That's what I was
Comic-Con
wondering.
related
Yeah,
gal.
yeah.
There was a comic I started out with that actually lost his virginity at Comic Con.
That doesn't shock me at all. There's Comic-Con porn. There's like the
he met some,
cosplayers
like,
go
some
around
random-
flashing.
Some random girl that in the show that I forgot what some random show, but he was into it. He met some other girl at Comic Con that was in that show. And that was it. And he came back next
Damn.
week, told us all about that at the mics. Like, hey, I finally hooked up and banged this chick.
It's such an event.
Wow,
Makes
dude.
sense at Comic-Con.
Dreams come true down there.
Yeah.
Well, and so for me, because I am a Comic-Con nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, I go there with my wife, so I get to
You get the best of both
You know,
worlds,
I
baby.
get that sniz.
Yeah.
But I've also I've met some I dressed up as Rick and Morty. Like there's my Rick in the box costume up
Whoa.
there. So I was dressed up as Rick and Morty, and I was walking around Comic-Con, and I met Harmon, the creator.
Yeah.
And
Did
stuff
you meet
like
Justin?
I didn't. But so it's cool. Like I'm dressed up as your character, and
Yeah.
he was so super cool. So from a fanboy perspective, I loved that.
Yeah.
But I also met Chris Pratt in an elevator, and I would give up all the pop figures just to hang out with Chris Pratt and smell
Yeah.
that sweet leather jacket one more time.
Yeah, dude.
He walked into the elevator. It was totally cool because it was just like everyone was like, "Oh, shit, fuck it, it's Chris Pratt, it's Chris Pratt." And then
He's a big dude, too.
and we're looking. He stands right next to me, and he goes to push the button, and he goes to look at me like, "Do you want me to push a button on the floor for you?" And I kind of cut him off, and I just have my phone out. I'm like, "All right, dude, if you're cool about it, we can take a selfie together." And he was so nice about it.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of is Theo Von's joke about meeting Brad Pitt. You know that bit? Where Theo Von's
No.
like, I met the Brad Pitt, the one and only Brad Pitt that God ever created. He just goes this whole thing describing
Just
Brad
about how
Pitt
awesome
and how
Brad
pretty he is. He goes, and he looked directly at me. And he was just so pretty. Wow, Brad Pitt, you were very pretty. You know that Theo Von
Yeah,
voice.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
He's
He turns
such
it
a
into,
beautiful
like, 5
man.
minutes, yeah.
Who's-
Turns it into 5
And I
minutes.
just, I just looked in his eyes and got, like that sweet, like he had that, like, that that eye nectar, like that sweet, those finger flavors, You're like, what? Yeah.
Your voices are so good.
We used to do a thing at the La Jolla where once a year on Oscar night, we would go up that night on Sunday and just do each other.
Oh yeah.
And just imagine if you guys did that. Like, who would you want to do? Like, if you guys did like an Oscar night.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you could do another comedian's bit, like only their material.
I did this thing once, an episode of our podcast about last night where Brad was out of town. I wanted to do an Oscar preview show, and so I got Jeff Richards and Jonathan Kite, who are two of the best impressionists, and I do a handful, and so we basically did a thing where I was interviewing like all these celebrities about what we thought who was gonna win on all the categories for the Oscars, and Jeff Richards does Letterman and
Right.
Dustin Hoffman and Gene Wilder and
Gene Wilder impression.
His
is so unique.
His is unreal, and Jonathan Kite does Jeff Bridges and Seth Rogen and Vince Vaughn, and so basically we went around and we improvised for 2 hours, just talking. Where it was also an interview about the Oscar things, but then it was also like Dustin Hoffman and Johnny Depp, like tell stories from back in the day on some set, and, and we were just improvising this whole thing. But I guess like what voice? I mean, I don't know. Like, there's not a lot of comics that have voices that are like Theo's is first one that comes to mind is like being interesting to listen to.
Right.
Like I wouldn't consider Rogan or Bird or D'Elia's voices like something that are fun to emulate. Like Sebastian is probably the first one. That's the one that a lot of comics I know that do get a kick out of because his cadence is so specific and fun to try to mimic.
What about you, Damien?
I don't know. Some of them, like you said, the voices ain't so much, but I get a kick out of the mannerisms. I get to do like their mannerisms.
Yeah.
I'm not doing their voices.
Whose mannerisms would you think you'd ham up?
I did Bilodeau once, but I think one thing about Brian Moses, who's the La Jolla guy, roast battle guy, here this weekend. His last best of San Diego spot here before he moved to Hollywood, we put him up pretty late. I wasn't there that night, but I heard we put him up pretty late. And everybody did at least one or two of his jokes before he went up. So by the time he went up, he had nothing to do.
That's so fucking funny. Dean Del Rey is another guy that people like to mimic because he's got probably one of the most impressionable voices.
No, I don't. That's
my life. Yeah, dude, I'm fucking crushing. Dude, most clubs, they don't even turn the light on because they just know I respect it. Like the candles of rock. Sandy Danto does an amazing Dean Del Rey. Ask him to do it for you tonight.
I like Holtzman. I like Brian Holtzman.
Yeah,
because he's just this old man losing his mind on stage.
Yeah,
like he just doesn't know with the texting.
Yeah,
his Instagrams are incredible.
They're so goofy. I'm glad he's putting out more content.
Well, I guess Darren Carter told him he needs content. He's like, well, it's not that good. It doesn't have to be good. Just put it out. So
he's right, and you got to listen to the Party Starter, baby.
The beauty about this episode of Honorable Discharge podcast, which is on Dysfunctional Veterans Radio, check them out at dvradio.net, is that all the names that you're hearing are easily Googleable.
Yeah.
So if you like a name, the sound of a name, and think, I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah.
Google the shit out of them because these people are funny.
And they've all been on our podcast.
Right.
You should check out About Last Night.
Yeah. With Adam Ray and Brad Williams. Yeah. And Behind the Popcorn Machine with Damien Pruitt.
Is that the name of your podcast?
No, but it should be.
It should be.
At the popcorn stand. Well, it's fun being a door guy with Damien because Damien is you're a practical joker and like of the nicest kind. Like I walked to my car one night just to find out that over the course of 6 hours, Damien had been throwing popcorn in my hoodie. Just like little by little, and I'm getting my keys and shit, and I just fluff up my hood, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Hilarious.
Yeah, and it's stupid jokes like that.
No, but that's fun and that's clean. You can do that at colleges.
Very, very consequence free.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, do you guys turn up Damien's audio in post, or do you just like do you get classically further away from the mic?
I won't touch it. I don't want to. I want Damien to be you.
Do you like his voice just being like soft and smooth in the background?
He's easily a background.
Yeah, it's almost like be a little off the mic, so it's almost like he's there, but he's also just on the couch watching.
It's pretty much how he approaches life. He's
Yeah.
not in your face.
Left or right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. See, even just moving, you feel that shift. Look at that. Now you can just hear the sweet timbre just a little bit stronger.
Like Damien's cool. Like he's been around a lot of shootings, Never been in one.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
there was a drive-by
Duck
shooting a
hunt,
couple
duck
weeks
hunt
ago.
shootings, like a lot of
No,
Nintendo
dude, there was
games.
a fucking drive-by shooting at the goddamn La Jolla store
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Right down the street. I was on Lou's office and I heard it down the street by Jack in the Box.
Are you fucking kidding
Yeah,
me?
dude. One fucking person died. Two
Yeah.
others got injured. Like it was like a party of teenagers.
20-year-old girl died.
Yeah. It was, and it's La Jolla.
Who were they shooting?
I don't even think they know. There really
All
hasn't
right,
been.
show's canceled tonight.
Right. It's a dangerous. La Jolla's gotten really seedy.
What? Why?
I don't know. But it actually hasn't. It's still La Jolla. Like, that's why it's just so fucking weird. Like, you know, and well, I mean, stuff happens here.
Stuff happens everywhere, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Damien's
La
role
Jolla
is.
is not exempt. We all think it's nice and safe, but I've seen some shit in La Jolla.
You have? What's
Yeah.
give me the top 2 things that you feel like that you've seen that nobody else has.
Have your kids leave the room. Just real quick.
I did see that transgender guy Sean get attacked down the street. The guy they used to be
Shauna?
like Shauna. There used to be like a 6'5".
He went from Sean to Shauna?
So yeah, right down.
Yeah,
Used to hang out right at the corner by the. Was it the?
You had.
Verizon
I know
place
you were
up there.
here like
Yeah.
the last time. It was the black transgender who would be like, "You
Yeah.
have a good day today."
Yes.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been here
yeah.
for years. Yeah.
So you saw her get
Get attacked down the street. I was smoking
Fuck
a blunt
that.
before my shift.
You didn't put the blunt down and help, did you?
No, I would have made it there in time.
Oh, that's good.
But,
She's 6'5". Like
Yeah.
it's like.
she played basketball. She came
Yeah.
to San Diego to play basketball.
She was such an interesting character. She was just,
Dang.
and she was always like outside the Comedy Store, just screaming at traffic. But it was
Yeah.
like, "Hello, have a good day now," and then
Yeah.
she'd like have a fight with
Yeah.
some invisible thing.
Do it
and then
good.
go
Do it
back
good for
to,
Tuesday.
It's
You
a
know,
beautiful day for it too. You have a beautiful Tuesday now, and then like walk away. And you're like, Jesus.
I saw her down by
shit.
Vaughn's one day down the street, just right down the street from the store, and had her back turned. She's like, "Relax, I took care of it." Turned around, it's just her hand to her ear, pretend like she was on the phone.
Dude, so yeah, so I mean, I know you, Adam, you've been on base in Okinawa and stuff, but La Jolla is some shit.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Do the
it's
cops roam frequently, or do they kind of keep to themselves?
I don't
and
even
let
think
you-
there's a precinct anywhere near here. Maybe
No, but there are.
they probably
cops.
just have like a couple patrolling, 2 or 3. But
All right.
yeah.
It's funny, right over the hill, like up that way. There's it's one of the most highly ticketed roads in all of San Diego because
La
it's
Jolla
just
Parkway.
like, yeah.
Somebody was shooting on La Jolla Parkway.
And
couple
oh,
weeks
that's right. Yeah, that was like 2 days after this fucking gangland assassination or whatever, in back of the
Shooting
Jack in the
cars
Box.
with BB
somebody,
guns.
somebody's driving along the highway, like shooting people with BB guns or pellet guns.
Still hurts, right? BB guns.
Gotta,
Even
especially if you crash your fucking car.
dude, turn a super soaker up to level 5. Like that shit even stings, you know.
Paintball gun? You ever been shot with a paintball gun?
Oh yeah,
That shit stings.
welts in the ass.
Nice, dude. I feel like I was just on a first date with you. I feel like that's your opening line to a
You ever
chick.
been shot with a paintball gun, honey?
Ever been shot with a paintball gun?
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm Damien.
By the way,
Where you going?
Yeah, where you go? Where you going? We didn't order yet.
wait, we're going Dutch. What? Where you going? That's so. What about you? You live in a pretty dangerous place. You ever get shot in an earthquake up there in LA or?
No.
Shot in an earthquake? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
man.
asking?
Yeah, dude.
No, the earthquakes are they're such a part of life now. It's like you just kind of wake up and check Twitter and just think to yourself, like, how scary did that feel? You wait for a tree to fall on you. When it doesn't, you go, fuck yeah, I'm getting Chipotle. This day rules.
Just going
Like, that's my safety evacuation plan. It's always so not. I also never remember exactly what to do because everyone's always like, even my girlfriend's mom was like, "What happened in the earthquake? Like, what did you guys get in the bathtub?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "Isn't that what you do?" She goes, "I never know what the things are." I'm like, "No. You."
That's
you
when
get
the
under.
SWAT team is raiding your house, ma.
Yeah,
Figure that out.
You get under a doorway, and then like in high school, they were like, "Get under a desk."
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah,
I
they
do always
changed it,
forget. I'm
yeah.
like, do I just fucking stop, drop, and roll as like a default? Like,
Well, it's funny when you
Yeah,
watch
I'm
like
saying.
the videos online, and it's like people like, "Oh, just hold on," and then it's like 3 minutes of people just going, "Oh God, oh God."
running into the street is like my
That's
instinct.
my instinct.
I think
yeah,
that's,
I
I hear
did
that's the
that.
best. Just
One
get
year I
clear.
just pushed my roommate's dog out of the way, and I feel bad.
Fuck
later,
you,
'cause
Pooch.
I just looked at the dog was like still in the house, looking at me with earthquakes coming on. Like if something happened, I would feel really bad to the
Because
dog.
like, what
right now.
truly would happen in the roads? Like, I guess like when they crack
It
and
would crack a
separate,
little bit, but yeah,
and you fall into it. That's
Yeah.
a shitty way to go. But
Well, so Brian Moses, like, this we had that 7.1 or like I don't know if it got downgraded, but an earthquake the other day, and Moses was on stage, and I guess his whole family's from Ridgecrest, which is like the epicenter, and so I was like, "Hey man, are your family okay?" And he's like, "Well, they're sleeping in their cars because everyone in the town is You got like broken gas lines. They're afraid to sleep in their houses at night. And it's like, oh, no shit. You know, if you get another aftershock, it could start a fire. And it's like, are you sleeping in a fucking bomb? Like a kettle, you know, that's shitty. But again, I feel like I heard this great joke a couple weeks ago. I think it was Joe Dosh, because he was talking about being from like Minnesota. And he was like, people from Minnesota say, aren't you scared of like the wildfires and the earthquakes and stuff? And he's like, my answer to those people is not as afraid as I am of this being my life. You know, and it was just like, Minnesota slam.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't really, there's too many other things to be worried about in LA, that like the natural disasters, that's never.
How much time do you spend in LA, like for work? I mean, like, do you travel?
All the time.
Do you
Travel maybe 2-3 weekends a month.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to do a bunch of dates in the fall with Dane Cook, I think. And so they'll be gone for most of the fall.
Oh, right on.
But I mean, 2-3 weekends a month, headline on my own. And just because you can't be gone too much if you really want to do other stuff.
You feel like you missed out on that, right?
You do. I mean, there have been times, you know, I was lucky to do a little guest spot on last season of Curb. And there was a time before that when I was going to get to do something.
Oh yeah,
on
he was
it.
on Curb Your Enthusiasm too.
And there was a time where I was going to get to do something on it before then, and I was out of town. And Garland hit me up and was like, "You got to come in and meet Larry tomorrow." I told him about you for this thing, and just seen a couple people, and I was gone, and so the opportunity was missed, and I was really pissed, and I was like, "God damn it, man!" Like I didn't want to be. You know, compromising myself like that, and I was like, well, then after that, I stayed off the road for about 3-4 months because like I don't want to miss out on acting stuff. That's what I came out here for.
Yeah, I've always heard of comics like especially coming up. They're like, I need to be on the road, but when I'm on the road, I'm missing out on auditions.
Well, it depends. Like Brad, like his sole source of income is tour money, and that's what he does. He's a stand-up. He's acting and even the podcast. These are just things that he does, and they're hobbies for him. And
does as it comes to
him,
it
comes, but he's not actively trying to make it a big part of his thing. But for me, it's like they're synonymous, acting and stand-up, and even acting. I came out here for stand-up. I started doing as a way to, you know, keep busy and just add more, you know, just add more chips to my pot as far as like what I had to offer, and also doing so much theater in college and high school. Afterwards, it was like I still want to get that live fix of being on stage, but I didn't want to spend 3-4 months doing plays, and so stand-up was like the outlet for that. But yeah, you can't be gone too much, and look at it, when you are like on the road every weekend, there's no way you're gonna be around for things, because a lot of times things are moved. Like last week I was in Seattle, threw out the pitch of the Mariners game, and I was throwing my mom a 70th birthday party, and then I was just staying in town for like 10 days just to be at home, be around my fam, and take a little break, and then I had a callback for this big Netflix show, and I was like, fuck, if I don't go back, and they're like, well, they'll just show your tape of the first audition in the room to all the producers and everything, and I was like, fuck, and they're like, but they want to work with you, they want to have it be a work session and all that, and it's always better in the room, because then you get to really just be yourself and be funnier, and they get it's like watching stand-up, man. It's better being live than on a YouTube clip. So I flew back for it, and then flew back to Seattle in the same day, and it was a long day, and it was exhausting, and you know, still waiting to hear about it. But it's like, you know, you got to be willing, if you want to go for it on something, man, on some level, you have to ask yourself. Like I had this moment where I was like, God, it is a lot, and it's gonna cost me a little more than I would want to fly down there. But then I was like, dude, if I'm not willing to go, it's only a 2-hour flight, to go down there and try to. You know, I'm this much closer to this job. They're going to decide after this session.
Yeah,
if I'm not willing to do that, then why am I even doing it?
Yeah,
and I know it would have eaten at me. And but then again, some people don't want that. And but the traveling keeps me sane too, man. Like staying in one place all the time. But LA rules, and now I just you know, moved, and I like my spot a little bit better. But it's also fun. I don't have kids, I don't have a family, so it's like to be able to move.
You can really pursue your career, and
and I like doing it too, and doing an hour on the road. It's awesome, and you just want to keep building your following, and also it took me a minute to get into the headlining mix, and like and it's never a done deal. There's always new clubs you want to do, and just to stay in the rotation on things, and so you gotta keep at it. You can't stop for 3 years of being on the road and then just expect that you're going to jump right back in that rotation, unless you are like you're like Sebastian. I know is going to take a little bit of a break.
Well, you get forgotten about if you're out on the road for too long. I feel like, and I've heard other comics.
Yeah, is that a gamble?
Like I forgot who it was, but they did like they came in second on America's Got Talent, and they went out. Or funniest not what was the one on NBC? Last Comic Stand. They were second Last Comic Stand, and they went on the road for a while. They came back to the store, and the store was, oh yeah, we kind of remember you. And they started getting shitty spots. They came back, and this was out gone for too long.
Yeah.
Well, kind of connected it, but it's like, so when you're at home and you're talking about like YouTube videos and your audition tapes and like one thing watching, I've been watching your shows all weekend and this is the second time I've been working at the store for you, so it's cool to watch and see how comedians change their material on stage, what's new. And you're so like, you use music in your act with Avery. You do a lot of crowd work. It's cool, like, because I've started to be like, oh, cool, he's doing like, there's like 10 minutes of crowd work there. Cool, he's going back to the closer. All right, so I know, I can kind of see like the structure of it and stuff. But your crowd work is always so unique. Last night was so fucking fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a blast.
And one of the cool things I liked about like watching, like kind of finding out more about your comedy and your career, I was like checking out your YouTubes. Like, you don't repeat your jokes a lot. Like I could watch 3 YouTube videos of yours and I won't hear the same joke, and I will always see you interacting with the crowd. So when you're interacting with the crowd, and that's kind of the gamble, like, are you taking a gamble going out on tour for 3 months and being able to make those crowd interactions, you getting that word of mouth, Instagram hits and stuff like that, while you're maybe missing an audition?
Yeah.
So like, how do you balance all that out? And like, when you're at home, like, do you have a room, like a studio, where you're like, well, I'm going to audition for a movie, so I've got a background that I just go and I record something and then I send it to them? Like, do you have like a?
Well, imagine you got to prioritize a little bit.
If you were an author, it'd be your desk, in your writing room. Like, do you have like a?
Well, we've got the podcast studio in the loft of my place now, and so that's where I do all my voiceover auditions and a lot of my jobs I can do remotely when I'm on the road and stuff. But usually, a lot of the auditions are in the room in LA. So you go to, like, there's casting offices all over.
Be there.
Yeah, but then there's a lot of times, a lot of people now are just doing tapes. So the place where I used to take acting classes, now we'll just coach a lot of the times. I'll go there and they have a whole setup. And we'll tape you and do all that and have it look good. But yeah, I mean, when I'm on the road, I'll just even do it on an iPhone, and that's good enough as long as it's on a tripod and it's framed right and
so
sounds
funny.
Good.
Mm-hmm. So you really can just work remotely.
Yeah, nowadays,
That's where we're at. 2019. You just do it. Right?
But again, it's always good to be. It's like, that's why I flew down there. It was like, I'd rather be in the room and bet on myself than have them just watch the iPhone tape again.
Especially for a callback, right?
Yeah, if it was the initial one, I don't know if I would have, but like when you're that much closer and they, saw something, you got to bet on yourself. But yeah, I mean, I think it's trying to do, crowd work was always such a scary thing to me, and so then I started jumping in to try to, like, conquer that a little bit. And I've just always had a genuine curiosity about people. So I'm on stage and I see somebody when something's interesting or somebody says something, and then I engage in some dialogue. I get genuinely, intrigued and want to get more info, but then you always have to keep the show and the comedy aspect in mind,
right? So
that you're keeping it entertaining and not just talking to someone like you would after the show at a bar, which I enjoy doing. But so you have to be keeping the performance element in mind. But it's all listening. It's like when I first started, I was just thinking of like, say something funny, and I wouldn't be listening and trust myself to have some silence and build a little bit of dialogue over 20, 30 seconds, which is really the key part of it. And then, getting to a point where you're comfortable enough to weave in and out of material and take moments that you had earlier and tie them back in later. And
now, is there like any element of preparation? Like, you sit in the back of the room and you're like watching, like,
I don't like to.
I've seen that.
No, I don't like to.
You just like it to be.
Yeah, I want it to all be new for me the first time.
You were juggling like 3 different. I remember you were talking about music on stage, and you were juggling like a punk rock enthusiast, the country guy who was like, woo, and then the woman over in the corner, and it was like 3 completely different people with 3 different backgrounds, and you're just really like juggling them very, very well.
Oh, thanks.
And like I said, as a compliment to your YouTube video, it's like, it seems like you just go do that a lot. And
yeah, I mean, I try to not rest on it, but it's like and that's why if I'm doing like, usually an hour 10, hour 15, that way if I'm doing 10 to 15 minutes of crowd work throughout the whole show, that I don't feel like I've, like I could easily do 30 minutes of jokes and 20 minutes of crowd work and call it a day, But it's like, you still gotta, I'm still writing all the time, so it's like, that, you know, and you've got to make sure that the stand-up is there, and
you still got stuff you're trying to work on.
Yeah, crowd work is always like an extra bonus to me. It's like a reward. It's almost like I come out of the gate and hit hard for 20, 25 minutes, and then I can kind of, you know, treat myself to a little like organic conversation. And people enjoy after the show. Like sometimes it is the thing that makes people come back when they go, you know, because they're seeing 3-4 comics in the night and they're not remembering every joke. They remember if they like you or don't like you. And if you do some really organic shit that they recognize that they were part of something that happened off the cuff, sometimes that makes them want to come back. And I mean, I had a lot of repeat people from last time I was here at the shows this weekend just from that stuff.
You did. You had. That was like the first time I've seen that really.
We were here for Stacy's birthday, and you talked to us.
Well, no, and it was cool because somebody actually asked me, they was like, "Hey, are we using the smiley stamps or the square stamps?" And I'm like, "We're smileys this time, and the squares." And they just had both, and it was like, "Did you buy tickets again?" And so that was a first.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but also clubs like the store in La Jolla like are real conducive to this, and that's why I like intimate rooms like this that you can not necessarily see everybody, but you feel everyone's right up on you, but not too close.
It's fucking dark
and
up
it's
there.
Still, yeah. But I like being able to see a little bit and feel that even if somebody does scream in the back, I'm not too far away from them to connect. But I mean, shit, man, I'll do crowd work in big theaters, and shit, man, we were in the Sydney Opera House with Adam, and it was like looking into the abyss, dude. It was so dark. This clip's actually on my Instagram. Somebody was taping it and posted it, but it was about 3 minutes into my set, and the spotlight on me just slowly, and I couldn't see anything, so I walked out there and I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely not doing crowd work because I can't see anybody, and that is a thing. It's like if you can't, at least like and there
you can't see that somebody's wearing a jack off state T-shirt, you can't make fun of it.
Yeah, and there's some theaters that have even only the first 2 rows kind of lit, but at least if you can look down and see someone in the eye and like connect, but to just be talking, into dark is just too odd. But like the spotlight slowly faded out and then just went out completely and then popped right back on, and it was this thing where I was like, this is fucking Sydney Opera House. Like there were literally like 20 people backstage running. Wow. This seemed like such a legit operation. I was like, there's no way I just was a part of some sort of technical malfunction.
Did they put the fucking C team on tonight?
Oh yeah, yeah, dude.
Was that the light? What the fuck is going on?
So it fades out, goes out, and then pops back on, and then I just kind of like, I was talking through when it went out, and then when it just popped back on, I just kind of like jolted up and like looked up real quick, like holy shit,
Like
and then everybody exactly, like I thought I was about to get sucked up, and then everybody started laughing for my reaction. I was like, okay, they saw that, and then I like started commenting like, what the fuck was that? And I literally thought I was dying, and then I had been doing some filthier material up top, and there was a Mozart. I was talking about how I'm doing all these dick jokes, and there's going to be a Mozart tribute show there like 2 days later, and so the light goes out, and I was like, it's probably the ghost of Mozart, trying to chime in and be like, enough with the dick jokes, you're ruining the fucking mistake of this venue, and then it just opened up this like dialogue with the crowd, and even though I couldn't see, like people started yelling some shit out, and then it was like a really cool, just doing crowd work like truly blind, where it was like I only could hear voices, but like was still having this like fun back and forth, and that was really cool. And that obviously doing it enough to feel comfortable.
Have you ever had it backfire? Have you ever just like?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny because the two guys that are on your show, Brian Moses last night. Apparently, we had to kick somebody out last night because they were offended by some bit that he was doing.
Was it the 2 people up front that were walking out as soon as I got up there?
And that happens. It's fine.
And Sandy just had an incident.
Sandy just had the incident
a couple weeks
at
ago.
the Improv that was all over his Instagram.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's just as you are you like, this could, I mean, and it's La Jolla. There was a shooting last week. This could easily be a riot. Are you ever nervous about?
I've had to kick people. I had a woman throw a wine glass at me once.
Oh shit!
I'd done some like material about being Wolverine, and she was at a winery up in Paso Robles, and she was just hammered. She kept yelling shit out. About 250 people packed in this brewery upstairs, and she's screaming at me, and I made some jokes about her and kind of slammed her down, and then I was looking down thinking of my next move, and I just see in my peripheral vision a wine glass in her arm raise up, and then I just see a motion of like a quick throw, and didn't really have time to register like what was happening. Like in my head I was like, did she just throw a wine glass at me? Like, and so I didn't have time to really turn or whatever, so I just kind of put my hand up to maybe deflect what was coming at me, and I put my hand up like this in a way like palm open and out, and the base of the wine glass again, from like 15, 20 feet away, just hits the middle of my hand and kind of, my palms are kind of sweaty from holding the mic and shit, and kind of sticks to the webbing of my hand. So all I had to do was wrap my hands around it.
Out.
Swear to God,
Some
dude.
dope ass catch.
So I basically
Catch this, Wolverine. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I basically snapped the wine glass out of midair, and then once I realized that I caught it, I, not looking, I slowly turned to my hand, and then I hold it up, and I go, and everybody just fucking went nuts. And then I went over and slammed down her table and was like, "I told you, bitch, I'm Wolverine. Don't fuck with me." And then they kicked her out. And
World Star.
I mean, that night was like true rock star shit, because then I was opening for a buddy of mine, but like everybody was just like buying me shots and smoking blunts with me, and then I like went back to the Courtyard Marriott and fell asleep in the shower twice and fell out of the bathtub. And this comedian named Will C was sharing the room with me, and he's like, I fell out of the shower, and he just hears this thud, and he goes, "Hey brother, you okay in there? Brother," and he's like, "What?" And I was so embarrassed because I literally woke up falling out of the shower, fully clothed, and I go, "I'm fine, leave me alone."
You're fully clothed.
And shame settled in. Oh, I was so fucked up. And I'm outside on the bathroom, and he's like, "Brother, I heard you just fall, man. You fall." I was like, "I didn't fall. I'm just taking a hard shower." And he's like, "What does that mean, brother?" And I'm like,
"What does that mean?"
And then I get back in the shower. I'm leaning up against the wall again, like I just lost the big game. And then I fall out again. And you hear another like boom, and he goes, "Brother, I swear to God, you fell out of the shower, man. Open the fucking door." And I go, "No, Will, I'm fine." And there's water like seeping underneath the shower into the thing. And then he opens the door, and I come out, and I grab my lean cuisine, and I try to put it in the microwave. And he's like, "There's no microwave, brother." And I just open it up and threw it against the window, and then just fell asleep on the floor. And
where were you trying to put it in? Were you just shoving it somewhere?
I was shoving it in like the desk drawers and stuff.
Okay.
This isn't a microwave. No, brother.
Hey, your clock doesn't flush.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, man.
Speaking of rock star status, too, you mentioned Pearl Jam on stage the other night. You said you just went and saw them. How are they?
Unbelievable.
They were my first concert. And,
they're true rock stars. Them and Foo Fighters. When Adam and I were in Australia, Adam knows their tour manager because he did a Blink-182 music video, and he's also their manager. So we went to the Foo Fighters Weezer show, and then they had the night off. We partied with them all night. They're true rock stars, dude. They do 3.5-hour shows. I mean, Dave Grohl is just fucking going after it vocally, and still smokes and drinks. And then they had the next night off in Melbourne, and we were like, "Well, come to our show." And they were like, "Yeah, we'd love to." And we're like, "Fucking whatever." And then we show up to the venue, and they're all back there, like, waiting for us. And we're like, "Shut the fuck up." And so they see our show and then hang out. And Dave's telling me fucking Nirvana stories. And
get the fuck out.
The studio they record their first album in is like not too far from where my mom and stepdad live now in Edmonds, Washington. And he's just like ripping it up comedy with us and asking us all these comedy questions. And
what is it about rock stars that like comedians and vice versa? Like, I've always heard that they
because look, we get similar rushes from being on stage. It's
true.
We're living in a world where like few people, want to take a stab at, and so it's like
there's the whole being in a different city every night and partying aspect to it too.
Yeah, and there's a grind that I think that people respect, that like they see across the way of like, oh, you're going for this, and you kind of understand the what it takes. And so it's but also on that level, they're just like, they've done it all, dude. I mean, that's like, and playing for 50,000 plus every night, like, just insane, man.
Yeah, they're they're like a fun. I can't believe this. My wife grew up in San Diego, and I was like, yeah, Eddie Vedder used to surf down here. Like he's like and like, it's just like, wow,
he's got to be like beloved down here, huh?
Yeah, he's it's like one of those like in the surf shops and in the bars and the surf bars, and like, yeah, right out there at that point, you know, and you're just like, oh man, that's fucking cool. But I mean, I dislocated my shoulder crowd surfing at my first concert ever, and that was Pearl Jam, the Meadows in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah. And I've ever since then I've been a fan.
Fuck yeah.
It's got to be a grab. You ever, is Eddie like, you ever just gonna like get those selfies with Eddie Vedder? And
you ever what?
You ever gonna get a selfie with Eddie Vedder?
I tried to at Bonnaroo. He was there in the comedy tent, and he came in to do a show with Judd Apatow, and it was right after Gary Shandling passed, and they wrote a song. Judd had all these notes from Gary's diary and gave them to Eddie to write a song, and he did this song, and it was like super heartfelt, and everyone's kind of like fighting back tears, and it's just gorgeous. And they get off stage, and Eddie's walking, and I'm standing back there, and he's kind of by himself walking around, and I was like, fuck, man. I was like, definitely don't ask him for a picture. but when
you have
but
to.
when are you gonna see him again? So I just was like, Eddie, that was fucking beautiful. He goes, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I go, dude, I hate to do this right now, but like, and you know, fuck, I know I shouldn't, but like, do you mind if we just grab a pic, man? I'm from Seattle, like, you fucking big part of my childhood. And he goes, do you mind if we just do it later? He's like, I'm buzzing right now. And I go,
That's a good Eddie Vedder, right?
yeah. And I just look at him and I go, buzz away, dude.
And
And he just kind of looks at me like, yeah, obviously, man. Like, I wasn't gonna like, you know, mix up my emotions based on you telling me to like not buzz or buzz away. And then he took 2 pictures with my buddies right after that. And I was like, dude, it's all timing, man. I just caught him when
he was buzzing.
he just came off the stage and he was riding the high of that song. And I was like a dickhead being like, can we take a picture?
Can we make it about me just real quick?
Yeah, dude.
Funny, yours is actually one of the first performances I've seen where mom is in the audience and you were talking about removing money from a stripper's snatch.
Yeah.
Is that hard to do in front of your mom?
My mom's got a cool sense of humor.
She must. Okay.
Once you look at your parents as people, not parents, then it's way more fun to just hang out with them. And, you know, she's 70 and still hanging. We're up till, you know, 3
There's
last
no
night.
way she's 70. She's 70. She's a fucking day.
Yeah.
She's
Tell her that tonight. She'll appreciate that.
Oh my God.
She's she's just a great hang, and you know, I was single mom, 3 jobs, just me and her for a while, and she just crushed it. And
it was so adorable. Like
it took me a minute to get
She
used
wanted to pay for your drinks last night.
It took me a minute to get used to say anything in front of her.
I'll
And
bet.
then at first I just had, like, the first few times she came to shows, I was like, this is what you do. You can't ever have you know, trepidations about, you know, content in front of your folks. But then, like, I would, and then I was like, Mom, don't come for a while because I need to get my feet wet and really get comfortable with this before. And then after a while, and then there were some shows here and there, and then times I would edit things out because I didn't want to do, like, certain bits I had that I was like, nah, I don't want her to hear that part. But now it's just like, she just knows this is what I do, and also I'm like, there's nothing I do that's so vulgar that I feel like that is actively isolating a crowd, like politically, racially, like filth wise. And so even that story, it's like, it's, you know, it's still silly, and it's like, and it is what happened. It's not like, and I even say, like, when the stripper in the story, like, took the money I gave her and put it in between her vagina. It's like, I'm like, she tucked it away in her privates. Like, I'm still being very careful with the wording of it. I'm not like, she took this $5 and shoved it in a fucking cunt. Like,
ass pussy.
Yeah, man.
Her reaction to your tagline about, like, oh, I don't have to do that. I don't want to spoil your material.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
like, her reaction to you, like, mentioning her in that kind of filthy joke, and she was like easily like one of the loudest laughs in the room, and I'm like, oh good.
Well, yeah, and that's what's silly
really
about it, is
fun.
that, like, the stripper wanted me to take the money out of her privates with my mouth, and I was like, and I seriously was like, no, I don't want to. And then obviously I didn't, you know, it's, you know, comedic liberties, but then saying that, like,
Sure.
I didn't want to because my mom says I don't have to do anything I don't want to do is like
it was
a silly
very
way to end it. And like, and yeah, and so she also has a good sense of humor, and she also, I wouldn't invite her to the shows or have her come out for a weekend like this and have her come hang if I didn't think she could take it. But also I know what I'm doing isn't ever going to make her uncomfortable. Her critiques are like, slow down, I can't, you
That's
talk too
awesome.
fast, or and always taking out curse words. She's just not a fan of.
Right.
She doesn't mind it because she curses too, but she just is like, you don't, you know, and she's writing sometimes where she's like, you don't need it for that. And there have been times when I've taken them out and I'm like, you know, yeah, that was an unnecessary you know, accent that I tried to give that joke. You know, I didn't need it, but you know.
All right, well,
What was the other question?
the other question was just real quick, advice for new comedians, new, like, guys that have less than 5 to 6 or 7 years. Like, what do you, anything that you would say, any words of wisdom that you would impart?
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I'll get you the hell out of here.
I mean, things that I feel like that I learned from my coming up time was, don't be so rushed to try to, you know, get to that place where you feel like you've, you know, you've become successful. And it's all relative, and you got to enjoy the process of getting better. That's something I think that everybody can, even somebody who's been doing it 30 years, it's just like,
it should be fun.
yeah, it should always be
Still
fun,
be fun.
but it is a job at some point, and it is work, and the challenges of it day to day. There's so much out of your control. So it's like, what if I just start crying? But Brett Ernst told me once, actually, in La Jolla, because I was 3 years in, and I was complaining about, you know, wanting that I was ready for a half hour or a live at Gotham at the time, and just wanting that, and doing really well on stage 3 years in, and having good energy, and just And the jokes, some were better than others, but like, you feel like, oh, I'm doing 20 minutes a lot, and Bobby Lee had started taking me on the road, and I'm like, oh, I'm and just when you get those little benchmarks and those little things, you start to get validated, which you need, but then sometimes you can get blissfully unaware of where you are because, maybe then you end up on a show randomly because there's a lot of comics and shows. You're at a late night show at the Improv and you're on with all these heavy hitters,
You're
and so you trick.
You're ready for it.
Not what? But you're not. You're just because you're on that show with them doesn't mean you're also on par with them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so there's a good balance though. If you need this delusion of like to keep yourself going and motivated, but you also gotta like keep a decent amount of reality checks going. Of like, I'm not like. I might have 20 minutes of material. It doesn't mean it's all fucking gold. I'm doing well when I go up, which is great. But control what you can control. And Ernst told me that. He goes, dude, worry about getting up all the time, writing all the time, and getting funnier. Just getting funnier.
Yeah.
He's like, and then stuff happens and takes care of itself when it's supposed to. And it does, and it doesn't sometimes. There are other factors in that. It's not just like, oh, cool, I can keep drinking and smoking pot and doing stand up. And he said, keep writing and stand up and getting up. Well, I do get up twice a week, and I write every couple weeks. So I'm doing what he said, and I'm still doing. But it's like, no, you still gotta take care of yourself. You gotta make sure you're doing all the other things around the work of stand up so that you're setting yourself up to win. I think. People that make excuses like, man, I did stand for 20 years or I've been doing it 15 years. It's just not happening. It's like, well, what else are you doing? Like, are you keeping active in other areas of where you can be creative? Are you doing a podcast? Are you finding other outlets? Are you, hitting up people? Are you going to hang out at shows to meet other people? Because
there's 10 ways to do it.
Because they have shows that you're not on and you might want to. And these people, when I see them post on like, I'm coming to New York, I want to do your shows. I'm like, you lazy piece of shit. Go to that club and hang out and be actively assertive and ask the who books the club and introduce yourself. And face-to-face stuff is always better. If you're a decent person and you have good intentions, that'll come through. But just posting, I want to do your shows or hitting up people like, hey, can you help me get on spots? And look, there are some people that...
Yeah, they'd network that way.
Yeah, and there's like people who are successful New York comics that I've met that will hit me up being like, hey, man, can you help me get some spots? And that I think is different because it's like, yeah, you're like, there's a give and take there where it's like when, this comic Jared Freed, who has a great podcast and he's super funny and he doesn't come to LA a lot. So, and he's know a ton of comics. So he hit me up and he's like, man, do you have some spots you could help me up? And I was like, for sure. Because I know that when I go to New York, if, there's a few other rooms. Sure. Yeah. And you just, but you know that with the person because we've hung out enough and done podcasts.
Because you've gone to the club without getting anything in return just for the sake of.
But I also was
putting in the work.
For sure. But I also didn't say yes to that and helped him with the intention of, oh, I know he'll help me. I just was like, oh, he's a good guy and he's funny. And I know that my recommendation, like me asking a favor, he's not going to make me look bad because he's a nice guy and he's funny. So that carries weight too. But you can't wait for things to happen. I know it's kind of cliche advice, but like,
no, I think
if you're not
spot on.
actively trying to create,
yeah,
and if you're not just putting in the work, I mean, everyone has their own idea of like what that is, but like people that are like, yeah, I started a podcast and again I get up, but it's like you can. I always tell myself, and sometimes to a fault, because it's you have to at some point be content with what you're doing, but like. I feel like there's always more you could be doing. There's always more work. There's always more writing. There's always somebody working harder than you. When I take a little bit of time off, I'm like, fuck, man. Like I immediately guilt myself into, if I'm going to take, even when I was up in Seattle trying to take some time off and be with my fam, I finally had to just start getting up and do some spots because I chilled out for 2 nights and it was like, it started to eat at me. And there's a blessing and a curse with that because like you do need to live a life to have worth writing about and you do need to chill out because you don't want to fucking burn the candle so hard.
What's the point of the grind if you can't enjoy it a little bit?
Like my mom's always like, you gotta like slow down and do this, and I'm like, but I haven't gotten to where I am or done the things I have by doing that. So that's tough for me to follow. But hopefully you just get better at balancing and then just prioritizing and making. But you get one shot to go for this, so it's like that's the thing too. It's like how bad do you want it? Like I was saying about flying down for that thing. It's like you just have those look in the mirror moments where you're like, how bad do I want this? You see what people are doing. You see the blueprint for the people that, Joe Rogan didn't just wake up and get shows and
Right.
get the podcast. Like he's been doing podcasts forever, and just being consistent is like a thing that in all aspects of what you're doing. And if it's, and you don't have to have your feet dipped in every pool. Like you don't have to try to do it all. Sometimes you can spread yourself thin, but if you're being consistent in those few things, like that's at least give yourself a chance. Because again, there's so many factors and different people that are going to get jobs and you not get them. But at least if you can control what you can control and be a good person and be consistent.
That goes a pretty long way.
Then if you don't get the job, that's a part of the business that you've signed up for. Where
Right.
rejection
is also a thing.
Yeah, but you get used to it.
Well, Adam Ray, I wanna get you on your way. You've got a
man.
show to go to tonight. You've
Yeah,
got
man.
people here in La Jolla. Adam Ray, the co-host
Yeah.
of About Last Night. He's all over the internet. He's got a great. You've been in this for like so
say
long, man.
Well, I've been maybe I graduated in 2005, so I'd say like in LA for 18 years, but in the business for 14, right? Yeah, in like the true grind of post college.
Well, and you've been doing it, and it's like I said, you're easily Googleable. You have a great career. I've really
thanks, man.
enjoyed like watching your comedy. It's
I
such a
appreciate
pleasure
it.
to watch you work, and I hope you have a great show tonight. I hope everybody
man.
enjoys their time hanging out with you. In your
Well, you guys
family
are
in
cool as
San
shit.
Diego.
It's the best to be at a club where you feel comfortable and everyone's doing their job.
It's a pretty good club.
It is,
That's
but
rad.
it's reflective of the people there, man. And you guys are funny as fuck, and
And Damien, thank you for joining. I mean, maybe tone it down a little bit next time.
Yeah, sorry,
Quit being
talk-
so
talk
aggressive.
so
coming
much,
at 20% less.
But
Okay,
yeah, man,
yeah.
you
And
know,
hug that mic,
Turn-
dude. You
turn
got
these
some
back a
sweet
little
pipes,
bit.
dude.
you have a sweet little slutty little baritone. I enjoy it.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I felt like I changed it when I responded to.
Yeah. That's your phone voice.
All right, and that's it. I'm gonna release everybody. I'm Ron Ripley. This is Honorable Discharge. I've been hanging out with Adam Ray, Damien Pruitt, comedians, handsome individuals. dvradio.net, Honorable Discharge, all that shit. Do it. Fucking
Cue the theme song.
cue that theme song, and that's it.
Thank you, Officer Ripley. That will be all.
God damn it, that's not all.
Nice. Is that my mom?
Thank you.